Good evening, everyone. Myself, Pushur. I am part of the Secretariat team at the Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce. On behalf of BCIC, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all to this exclusive webinar on overview of carbon border adjustment mechanism, transition to definitive space, being addressed by Mr. Shridhar Rajappanavar, who is a founder and CEO of Key Sustainability Solutions Pvt. Limited. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation at a very short notice.
Yeah, thank you very much.
This session is organized under the aegis of Sustainability Expert Committee BCIC, chaired by Mr. Rajesh Kumar Jha, who is a Country Environment Sustainability Manager at ABB India Limited, co-chaired by Dr. K.S. Ravichandran, Managing Partner KSR & Co. Company Secretary LLP, and mentored by Mr. V.C. Mohan, former Chief Sustainability Officer, Bosch Limited. Today's session will be moderated by Mr. Rajesh Kumar Jha, who is our chairman of the Sustainability Expert Committee. Before I hand it over to him, I would like to acknowledge and thank our BCIC annual sponsors who continued support enable us to successfully organize such knowledge-driven programs for our members throughout the year. Now I hand it over to our SG to say the few words about our events.
Good evening, everybody. I've just joined BCIC as the Secretary General. I've been here for around 15 days now. And this is one of the first events that I'm participating here, other than the Griha, where I met a few of you, and also I met Mr. Jha. I was thank you all for picking up such a relevant and an important topic on CBAMs, that is basically a carbon border adjustment mechanism, which is coming into force very shortly. It's already in force. I think it will be implemented. It should be covered in detail now. I think it's a very relevant topic, considering that we are on the verge of signing a very important MOU with the EU. I think this would be important information for anyone who plans to export to the EU. Yeah, without wasting much time, I'll thank you all once again for choosing such a relevant and a beautiful topic. It will be a very short, it'll be a very educative session for all of us. Thank you, and over to the speaker, please, for starting.
Thank you, sir. I request our chairman to kindly take it forward from here.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Singh. And again, so good evening, all of you, in fact, everyone. And of course, I'm really extremely sorry for my, some technical glitch. I'm not able to switch on my camera because of certain reason. So of course, apology from my side. So the point is, I think today's, as Mr. Singh also mentioned, that yes, of course, we are in the process of having a deal with EU. I think it's going to be called as mother of all deals. In fact, that's also another fact. And of course, the CBAM, which is of course the carbon border adjustment mechanism, is going to be, of course, one of the topic that is going to be discussed, or let's see how it goes. But as a overall sustainability professional, this is also quite important topic for all of us, that GHG emission, what we have been talking about for so long, how it's going to be impacting our own, kind of business. Overall, if you see, there is a huge potential. In fact, we have now,
audience.
Excuse me, anybody speaking on this? Maybe you can kindly mute yourself. Maybe we'll of course give you the opportunity to speak at the end, maybe during our Q&A session also. So of course, I think we all are aware, like we have been having multiple webinars in the past. We today also, one of the topic is of course on the carbon side, that how the border doesn't of course only impact your entire sales or buying things, but also a carbon, how you're shifting from one side to another side, right? So this is also very important topic, and that's why we have brought this topic to make you understand what exactly this is all about, and how we are going to either contribute somewhere, or of course learn and understand its impact on our business overall in coming days. Of course, this particular topic, as we all have seen, there's also that somewhere it's going to impact our overall sectors like steel, aluminum, and many other sectors which are carbon intensive, sectors basically, and how it's going to have an impact after, of course, January 26 onwards, which is, of course, the D-Day for this, in fact, for our reporting, verification, and lots of other, in fact, the activities what was supposed to be started in this area, in fact, with respect to CBAM. So without wasting much of the time, it's already, in fact, 11 minutes we have passed. So I'll just quickly, I'll of course try to invite our speaker, Mr. Shridhar Rajappanavar, in fact, who is seasoned person, in fact, who is the founder and CEO of Key Sustainability Solutions Private Limited. He has, of course, been leading this topic from last 2 to 3 decades, in fact, in this particular area. And of course, he has also established a leading sustainability and compliance advisory firm, of course, where he has been supporting multiple organizations to improve their regulations, compliance management, and of course, integrate the sustainability in their entire operations. And of course, he has conducted various trainings. And of course, we are very happy to, of course, host him also in our today's session to take us through one of the important topic for all of us. Of course, he has also conducted various, kind of projects across different sectors in India. And of course, those have given a very good result for those companies. So with this, I'll quickly invite our speaker. Before handing over, I'll also set a basic rules that, of course, all the Q&A would be taken up at the end of the session. Like once the entire session gets over, we'll maybe I request you, if in between, if you have any queries, you can put it in the chat box. We'll try to address at the end of the session. So with this, I'll quickly hand over to Mr. Shashidharan. Thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Shashidharan, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rajesh sir, for giving a brief introduction. I'm sharing my screen, and let me know once you see the screen.
Yeah, Mr. Shashidharan, we can see.
Okay. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's session, which is majorly very important, which talks about CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. I'm Shridhar Rajappanavar, founder and CEO of Key Sustainability Solutions Pvt. Limited. We are providing services on material compliance regulation and sustainability, where we have a headquartered in Bangalore and a branch in Pune. We are authorized consulting and training partners from BCIC technology for 7 countries. Our major core verticals are compliance support, sustainability, and manpower. When we talk about compliance like IMDS, REACH, ROHS, life cycle assessment, CBAM, many other regulations will come into picture. Also, we have developed a CBAM application, which is a reporting tool, which will help many customers to track and provide the declaration to the European Union customers. So we will talk about more in coming slides about the CBAM. These are the overall compliance services which we are providing from Key Sustainability Solutions Pvt. Limited. Climate change and sustainability services, where these are the major 3 areas: compliance, system, and trainings. So with respect to frameworks such as TCFD, CDP, GRI, or CSRD, BRSR, we have developed a ESG tool which not only covers Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3, but also help you to understand about the decarbonization, benchmarking, which also again have a AI touch where you need to get the more information about the calculation part and generating the reports. Moving towards the main topic, which is the CBAM, Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. So what exactly the CBAM? As it's a core, it is an EU regulation which talks about 2023/956. That is the declaration or a directive number that puts a price on the carbon emission embedded in a specific goods imported into EU. And it is inspired by the polluter pays principle. It entered into the force in October 2023. Its primary goal is to prevent carbon leakage, ensuring that EU climate policy aren't undermined by production relocating to countries with less stringent environmental standards. So as we know that climate change agreement, where we need to reduce 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature, otherwise it's going to impact our ecosystem, right? And it is this particular CBAM, they wanted to understand whatever the import they are doing into the European Union, how much they are importing, and for that whether the pricing need to be established from the European Union to the importers, and it is essential to ensure that the imported goods bear a carbon cost similar to those produced within the European Union. What exactly the CBAM again? CBAM, as we talked about, European producer, importer. The importer is going to sell into European Union. In case if they are selling to European Union at a border, they have to do a custom where they have to showcase that they are importing more than 50 tons or below 50 tons. In any of the terminologies, if it is above 50 tons, then they have to provide the CBAM certificate at the custom level. So that is the European border. So that is the reason it is called as a carbon border adjustment mechanism. So it's a strategic tool to prevent carbon leakage, which we discussed in the last slide, drive global decarbonization, and game changer for international trade and climate policy. And it is a landmark policy designed to tackle carbon leakage, where companies move production to countries with less stringent climate regulation to avoid higher carbon cost by imposing carbon tax on imports based on their carbon footprint. So essential, if you are a company exporting goods to a European Union, you will need to pay for the carbon emission associated with those goods. This ensures that imports are subject to the same carbon cost produced within the European Union. The aims, again, the carbon border adjustment mechanism or a CBAM has three major key objectives. One is prevent carbon leakage, complement on a reinforcement with the European Union emission trading system, that is a European Union ETS, where carbon CBAM works alongside with the ETS to maintain a level playing field and strengthen the overall climate framework. And also it's going to contribute to a global decarbonization and climate neutrality, which has been set by 2050 by European Union. So it is a long-term climate goal for European, but they want to start it. Already they have started, and they want to more resilience to understand how the carbon pricing is matters, and whether it is a good to produce within the European Union, or whatever the parts or goods, or that to a simple goods and the complex goods. When I talk about simple goods, again we are going to discuss about that. Simple goods are those which are a raw material which you are importing to the European Union, and some complex goods are nothing but the parts which are produced outside European Union, and it is imported into European Union with respect to again steel or aluminum or iron. And again, in case if you are importing cement or fertilizer, again hydrogen and electricity is also a part of this. So CBAM boundary and linkage with respect to ISO 14064. So understanding the scope of emission is critical here, because it is only applicable to cradle to gate scenario, not for the cradle to grave scenario, where when we talk about cradle to gate, when that too the boundary of CBAM is applicable to the production of precursors and the production process only, not with respect to the upstream processes. Okay, this includes emission from the production of a precursor and the main production process itself, only for that CBAM. It is important to note that while ISO 14064 might look for the full life cycle, but it includes only the cradle to gate, which again implication to production of precursor and production processes. So here any producer has to identify the CO2 which has been used to produce that particular goods. And when they are exporting, they have to do a calculation, carbon emission into a carbon price, where weekly European Union are going to, it's a kind of a trade they are going to do it, where they have to provide the information. Again, when we talk about cradle to grave, which comes under the life cycle assessment complete from the uh, cradle, from the birth to the end, or you can say end of life of that particular product. It covers the life cycle assessment. Again, there is one more terminology called as a PCF. Some or the other day we are going to talk about the product carbon footprint as well, which is applicable to any industries which are producing the goods again. So they have to understand about the emission which they are utilizing or emitting towards the environment when they are producing that particular goods. When we talk about green material, this is nothing but like it is not looks like a green material, right? So it's a green material means where the carbon emission is very low, or you can say it's a zero. So every country or every industry are working towards net zero, which is has to be achieved. And CBAM is strictly concerned with embedded emissions, the total direct and indirect GHG, greenhouse gas emissions generated during the production of the goods. So this is limited to the embedded emission for the total direct and indirect of GHG emissions. So emissions under CBAM scope, under scope 1, we are looking as a direct emission. The emissions generated specifically from the production of CBAM goods at the installation level. This is the primary data set as we are responsible for, and as we all can see by the solid blue, which are applicable, or you can say it's a in scope for the CBAM. And where scope 3, that is a indirect, where it is dealing with for the complex goods, where one producer must account for the emission of the input material we purchase or export to the European Union. Where we see the indirect emission for the scope 2, where electricity consumed for the production of a CBAM goods, where partially is applicable. While technically, when we say partially, the scope of the final levy, the transition rule are clear. We are required to report these indirect emission for all CBAM sectors right now. So the gray one are not required to when you are doing the calculation for the CBAM. I'm going to show you the Excel file where the CBAM has to be calculated. I'm not going to completely walk you through the how exactly it's going to be calculated, but I'm going to walk you through the major things, how the Excel file has to be seen, and a small information how to add the values. Scope of CBAM, where it covers major 6 with respect to iron, steel, electricity, fertilizer, cement, chemicals, and aluminum. So these are the major goods which are covered under the CBAM product. Like how exactly these been covered, that 45% of the CO2 are emerging from these goods. So they have considered these are the initial stage of consider of a goods for the European Union for the CBAM coverage. But however, over the period of time, they are also going to add probably petroleum and textile in the future and other goods also. So whatever you are going to export to European Union, those are going to be considered in the coming year. So consider in this particular year or the previous one. So these are the 6 goods, and that too the goods with having a CN code. For example, iron and steel, which starts with 72 or 73 and 76. So those CN codes are applicable. If you are producing any particular product, it could be a very complex object or a goods. Let me give an example of engine. For an example, engine of boat or engine of vehicle, if you are exporting that, then that particular goods is not covered under the CBAM. It might be a complex, very complex. When I say, let's say simple and complex, simple is again a raw material and complex is a simple goods where you produce nut, bolt, clutches, which is not more than one or two subcomponents. When you say the goods which are more than 10 to 15 components, say for the turbocharger, so these all are not covered under the CBAM goods. Again, when you are manufacturing a particular part, for an example, engine is manufactured in Europe, European Union, and for that, if you are supplying any goods, so that will cover, not the entire engine. I hope it has been very much cleared here. So not the engine when you are exporting to European Union, but when you are manufacturing in Europe, for that particular part, probably you might be asking a piston. It might be only one part. So that piston will be applicable to CBAM goods. So in the EU ETS, the producer of the company has to comply with the regulation in EU and pay the carbon tax. As there was a phase out of the allowance in EU ETS, there was a risk of producing being relocated outside the EU, and which results the lower tax compared to the producer within the European Union. That is the reason they bought this, considering that there is a leakage is happening where most of the production is happening outside and they are bringing. So the cost of the carbon is going to be lowered. And at the same time, the carbon is emission is happening outside European is more. So to combine that or to address the leakage, so this has been considered. So for an example, if you see European production where the 90 euros, non-European production where the 10 euros, where 80 euros is again comes under from the European Union and 10 is coming from the outside. So the taxes are going to be considered as a carbon intensity into the quantity of production. So I'm going to give one example as an how exactly the taxable amount is going to be calculated. I'm going to show you that one. To make it more favorable in terms of tax, they bought this particular CBAM regulation to make it as an equivalent to the original tax. And the implementation or the timeline, currently we are under the definitive phase where the transition phase is ended in 2025. And from now onwards, yearly we have to provide the CBAM. Earlier it was a quarterly. Again, we have some slides with respect to those things. During this phase, reporting is mandatory. I'm going to talk about the transition period. So where the reporting is mandatory for the quarterly basis, and no certification was not required, and not any CBAM. What do you say that? Carbon pricing has not to purchase for in the transition period. But now onwards, it is going to be definitive phase where the reporting is going to be annual, and the third party verification. This is also very important. Third party verification is also going to be mandatory, and that is going to be again authorized by the European Union. So these are the mandatory things which is going to be happening in the definitive phase. Probably from 2034, the complete CBAM phase in complete is going to be happen. That free allowance phase out is going to be stopped. So the entire phase out is going to be considered by 2030, or it might increase based on the discussions might be happening in around 2030 or 2031 or 32. But other than these 6 goods, they are also planning to implement the petrochemicals, textile, and other goods which are prominent in terms of the emission also. And there is no restrictions for this. There are high chances that they might increase more number of goods also. So this is what the definitive phase from 2026, like yearly reporting. From the quarterly reporting to the yearly reporting it made, where the changes like from 31st August 27, you have to provide the CBAM reporting along with the purchase of the CBAM certificate. Third-party verification, where the verifier must be a legal entity, not an individual, and accredited by the national accredited body NAB within the European Union. They are essential and called as a carbon caps or a CPAS, whose ensures the financial are free from the material misstatement. So this is the mandatory thing, and certificate purchase, where purchase will start occurring from the carbon debt from 2026 onwards, where the first you don't need to purchase anything until February 2027, but eventually you are going to start from collecting the CBAM certificate from 2027. So you will be having a 1 year timeline to capture all the goods which are exporting more than 50 tons per year per consignment. Per consignment, when you say that per goods, or accumulative, when I say that, okay, iron, I'm taking 20 tons, and aluminum, I'm taking 30 tons, then it is going to be cumulatively 50 tons. So 50 tons above is going to be a mandatory that CBAM certificate has to be purchased. So this is a kind of an insight, a simpler way. It has been mentioned, the de minimis exemptions, where applicable this 50 tonnage is applicable to iron and steel and aluminum, fertilizer and cement, not for the electricity and hydrogen. Again, in case if you are taking, means Europe is depend on the third country and they are taking electricity and hydrogen from the initial time itself, they have to start providing the CBAM certificate for those import or exporting the electricity and hydrogen, but not for not with respect to the other goods. However, it is going to be a 50 tons annual threshold. So again, it has been started. The definitive phase is started from 2026, and from August 2020, February 2027, the certificate has to be provided or taken for the goods which are exported to the European Union. Certain exemptions are there. In case if you are producing below 50, then no need to worry about getting the certificate or calculation. But however, you have to record it and you have to showcase that why you are not, why you are exempted from this particular CBAM exemption rules. And goods to be removed or used for the military or defense purpose, and electricity and hydrogen are not considered until unless now there could be a chance that there might be consideration in the future, but currently not considered. In case if you are tonnage, like tonnage wise, I'm talking about here, but electricity and hydrogen, yes, there is no exemption. They have to provide. And if they are taking from the exclusive to the economic zone countries or a member state, then it is exempted. So that is what it is mentioned here, hydrogen or electricity. If they are taking from the economic zone of the member state, then it is going to be. And then the territorial exceptions are there. Iceland or Norway or the Switzerland. These are the countries where if they are exporting to European Union, those countries are does not applicable. CBAM is not applicable to those countries. This is a simple exemptions with respect to how the scenario is going to be considered. A steel valve, where a company, imagine that it is produce a steel valve into European Union, and they are taking this valve. Obligation do not affect until unless they are producing or exporting more than 50 tons. So March, they have exported 10 tons of a steel valve, and September 30 tons of 30 tons of steel valves. In total, they have 40 tons. So less than 50 tonnage, then it is not applicable the CBAM. How CBAM works? This slide is very important again, because as we are all, most of them are exporters. So any importers with respect to the European Union, 6 goods within the European Union have to buy the certificate equivalent amount of that embedded emission, then allow the enter to the custom. So at every custom, they will cross verify and any goods with respect to these CBAM goods, then they are going to ask about the CBAM certificate. If you are exempted, means below 50 tonnage, then you have to showcase that also. Then if you are not, then you have to give the certificate, and then allow they are going to allow your goods entering into the European Union. So to understand how the carbon border adjustment mechanism or the CBAM, the actual function, where if you see the blue color where it talks about ETS, which is going to be called as an emission trading system for international trade context. The core challenge here is a shift in perspective, moving from installation-based approach to a good-based approach. If you look at the blue box on the left side here, the historical, I hope I'm not, let me highlight this one. I'm talking about this one. So it is majorly focuses on the source of the smoke to speak. It targets the installation themselves, large scale production site like energy intensity factories, power plants, and commercial aviation hubs. In this model, we measure the greenhouse gas emission flowing out of the chimney at the site level. It's about the total environmental footprint of a specific geographic location. However, look at the transition to the green and the tail section, which we are talking about this one, where the CBAM is designed to level the playing field for imported goods. We can't just look at the factory outside European Union. We have to look at the specific good crossing the border. So the CBAM methodology essential takes those installation level calculation methods and translate them where the narrowing the system boundaries. Instead of asking how much did the factory emit last year, now we are going to ask how many emissions are embedded in this specific ton of steel or aluminum. And when we talk about simple and the complex good, these are produced using raw material, which is called as a simple goods, and fuel with zero embedded emission from the precursor. Complex goods, these are the products where they incorporate other CBAM coverage goods during their manufacturing. Okay, so I hope I'm talking about the calculation now. One second. Yeah. So this is a simple scenario where a clutch plate typically made of a steel or aluminum, 1 kg per piece, where 100 tons of per, approximately 100,000 units you are manufacturing from route India to Europe. There is an example where I have given you that assuming an average steel emission intensity is 2 kg per CO2 per 1 kg of a product, then the total weight 100 tons is equal to 100,000 kg. Then the emission per 1 kg is equal to 2 is nothing but 2 kg CO2 equivalent. Again, equivalent, as you know, that like there are a lot of greenhouse gases are there other than CO2, and the calculation will be covered for the CO2 measure. Annual total will be 100,000 into 2, that is the 200 tons of CO2. How the cost will be calculated when we consider that Euro 90 is the carbon price for that particular period per ton, then the total emission into carbon price will give you approximately 18,000. So this is how we need to that like importer has to pay to the ETS. So we need to capture that carbon certificate and provide to the importer. I'm going to open this communication Excel file. Just give me a second.
Good to have all these things, available now, because really,
Yeah.
yes.
I hope
It's visible
now
now.
it's visible,
Yes,
right?
Yeah,
very
it's
much
visible.
visible. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the Excel file where each installer or the precursor has to fill it and circulate to the complex good manufacturer, and they will add all the emissions and they will create one, and then they are going to upload this information into European ETS website. So then only they are going to allow. So all these informations they have to fill about installation. Currently, as I said, the transition period was from quarterly based. So reporting period was mentioning from this particular date to this date. Now it is going to be changed. But however, we need to provide from 1/2026 to 31st 2026 and the name of the installation. So all this information is going to be provided, and the verified information where the European Union authorized information has to be provided here, and whether you are producing what kind of goods that has to be provided. For example, in case if you are producing iron and steel, all the production route, in case if you know any of the routes, then you are going to select here the relevant production process where it is going to give you whether it's only indirect or direct production or iron and steel production. Then it is for example, it's a latch. Then you are going to provide the information production process where the iron and steel, where the country code, for example, if we are from India, then iron code will come into picture. In case if anything routes are changing, then that has to be, or else here you're going to provide the information about that. Like for example, latch. After that latch, certain product will be there. I'll just mention product, and then this information will be captured whether it is a combustion process or a process emission or a mass balance. So for example, mass balance, then we have to provide information. They have given certain examples here. If it is in a combustion, then you have to provide the net calorific value and the NCVB unit emission factor for that. So this emission factor is an actual emission factor has to be provided. It means you have to calculate the electricity consumed during that particular production. Earlier it was default was allowed, but now it is not allowed. 80 again in transition period, 80% actual and 20% default was allowed. But that is where we are hearing that it is going to continue for the definitive phase, but it is going to change eventually, and they are going to ask all 100% actual data has to be provided. Having said that, all this information has to be provided. Wherever you see yellow color, it has to be provided by us. And so majorly, yes, this information like significant emission, embedded emission, indirect and direct total, and what is the unit. These information is mandatory to provide to a customer. So if they are asking any CBAM, either you can provide this Excel file by filling all this information, or else you can provide this information itself with respect to what is your carbon, magnesium, nickel, other alloys, what is your carbon content. So these all information has to be provided if you are aware. Otherwise, some are mandatory fields are there where you need to cross verify with the Excel file and proceed further with that. And I have only one slide left over. Let me bring that in front of you people. Yeah. So impact on India, where understanding CBAM calculation is crucial for any businesses. We can help any industries to calculate the CBAM, and also in case if any bigger large scale industry they want to utilize any tools, we have a tool which has been in-house developed, made in India, and which is going to cover each and everything. So currently, when we talk about Indian scenario, as we all know that 4.4 billion European export is happening with respect to iron, steel, and aluminium. So the introduction of CBAM both are challenges as well as an opportunity for India, where the substantial investment or the clear technology improved energy efficiency and sustainable practices will very crucial. On the flip side, says about could accelerate India's transition to a lower carbon economy by investing in green technologies and renewable energy in India, positioning itself as sustainable and resilient export. More overall, this could attract climate finance and technology collaboration. So in India also there are 9 sectors where they are thinking to applicable, which is again cement, iron, steel, petroleum, textile, petroleum product, paper, pulp and aluminum, fertilizer, chloroalkyl. Probably it might start from the 2026 or 2027 onwards. So, but they also have this carbon credit trading scheme in India, where we need, and there will be a challenge, and at the same time, it is going to be advantage for India to be on the top of other countries where we are producing the greener material. Thank you, everyone. In case if anyone is having any questions, I'm open to answer.
Yes.
Rajesh,
Mr.
I will,
Yeah,
I will take
please.
first. Rajappanavar, first of all, thank you very much.
Yes.
What I could see, from your slides, even though you covered it fast, it has a lot of information, required information was there. It takes some time to understand and digest these requirements because it has come into effect only from 1st of January this year. And companies
No, as
in
I
Europe.
said, it is applicable from the last 2024 onwards, 2023 end or 2024. But this transition period is ended, and now definitive phase we have started.
Yeah, and also this year, as I know, no transaction will happen. Transaction will happen next year, I think, from February 2027.
Yes.
The purchase of credits and all. You said you can support industries in, calculating the emissions and then support in filling up this Excel. So are you authorized already by some agency in European Union?
No, we are not authorized, but we know how to fill this Excel file. But however, authorizer is to be from the European Union, and we are from India. So, but we are having a contacts where it can be helpful, where they are going to be an authorizer.
Okay, so the template is developed by your own company, right?
No.
Based on the requirement.
No. It is, see, we have developed a Excel file. We have developed a application tool. And this Excel file is from the European Union CBAM team only.
Okay.
This has not been developed by us. It is European Union CBAM tool, where every manufacturer has to fill the information.
And the other point is you showed that the additional cost could be anywhere between 1.5 to 2 billion euros. It will, our products will become very expensive, in Europe.
Yeah.
That will be the biggest threat for Indian suppliers.
Yes. Could be, sir, because that is the reason. Now, how the carbon price currently it is not mentioned, but it is going to be weekly. It is going to change. When you are exporting, it might be an increase carbon price for that particular good, or it decrease. So, kind of a trade it is going to happen. And in case if you are producing more emission, then you have to pay eventually more price.
And also, you spoke about the carbon credit trading scheme in India, where this would support, is it? This will have a validity when the details are shared in the format.
Correct, sir. Here, in case if you are produced and you paid certain in India, that has going to be means it is going to be minimized. Means that particular product is been already taken care in India, and we have already paid the carbon tax. So in Europe, it is going to be reduced. So it is going to minus.
And anyway, right now it is for 6 products, as you said, but you also said that it may come for textiles and other products and goods.
Yes.
So that would be more challenging.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
I've got a question, Mr. Shridhar. Thank you for the fantastic presentation. It's really an eye-opener for us to understand this. In one of the slides, you'd spoken about the cost of carbon emission. I think some 18,000 euros, something you had mentioned. What I wanted to understand was they are trying to provide a level playing field between what they are producing and what is being produced externally. Right? So shouldn't this be a difference with some benchmark? You've calculated the cost of carbon for whatever manufacturing has to happen in India. But my understanding was it should be a difference. They have a certain level of emissions. Our emissions are higher. Right? For that differential is what we have to pay.
Yes,
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it is correct. Like just now we have spoken, right? Like in case if we have already, it has been produced in India and we have paid a carbon tax here, that is going to be minus over there. And in Europe, if the entire thing it has been manufactured and just you are exporting to European Union and there is importer where they are not manufacturing anything, then entire amount is going to be paid by the importer. So
No, I
then
was
you have
referring to a good completely manufactured in India, right?
in
So when
India.
you manufacture in India, there's a certain amount of emission that happens. But
Yes.
when my understanding of this particular concept was, if you manufacture the same good under European standards using that whatever energy, this thing that they have, efficiencies that they have, their emission would be different.
Correct, sir.
So you are paying for the differential in emissions.
Yes. If you see one of the slide
But
which I have
for that,
shown,
do we have the standards of what are the emissions that the European Union has achieved?
that I think I'll give you, sir, that information.
Yeah, just to add, what the question is that what are the limits stipulated in European Union for carbon emissions? So that is the base, and what is above that base is to be charged. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So basically, if I have to add, Rajappanavar, one clarification.
Yes, sir.
The query is a very pertinent query, and see, if whole of India's emission intensity is lower than the highest polluting particular exporter product, then there is a possibility that India will incur lower CBAM cost. Because our emissions, let us say, for example, let us say we have a furnace like a blast furnace or electric arc furnace, difference in emissions are very clear that 1 ton of steel could be 2 to some 0.5 or 1 to 2 tons of CO2 equivalent. But if the emission intensity in India is generally lower, then that can be compared with highest polluting exporter elsewhere. As a result, we may benefit from showing that this is how it is lower intensity than the exporter elsewhere. So there is definitely, in my opinion, a possibility for India incurring lower CBAM cost. Of course, it is now illustrative discussion. I am not exactly saying what actually, but I understand the query is on this point, if I am correct.
Not exactly, but it is touching upon this point. You're talking about emission intensity. So emission intensity is a cumulative this thing of multiple other activities. But I'm referring to one single product. So when you're talking about cost, it's just a rough idea that I wanted to understand how exactly these calculations are being done.
See, also the legislation clearly speaks about the emissions, made elsewhere. So what is the European Union understanding is that the emissions made elsewhere and those products imported to Europe, and if they are not meeting the European standards, so that difference has to be taxed, so that then it creates a level playing field for people who produce outside to the people who are producing in Europe.
Absolutely. The second point, one more point, one clarification which I had was regarding this emission factors, right? One of the biggest challenges that any practitioner has here is to get the correct emission factors, especially in terms of electricity. So since it is a mixed bag of various generations that you have, which comes into the grid, where do you get the exact emission factors for anyone to calculate that?
Sir, actually, there are certain guidelines, like for example, DEFRA is there, but what CBAM is saying that you need to calculate it.
Just I'll add it over here maybe. So we have from the Central Electricity Authority also. You will go to the website. You have every year-wise, kind of emissions data. Maybe you can go through it. I can share the Excel sheet if you want, where clearly it says that how much is the emission from electricity per kilowatt would be, and of course considering various scenarios. Of course, there are 2-3 scenarios that you can find in the Excel sheet also. Mr. Singh, you can download in the CEA website also.
Yeah, I've seen that, but again, that is a mixed bag. When you look at it in specific locations, it becomes a challenge. They cover the state, they don't cover areas.
No, so okay, so how does it work actually? So because see, every state, okay, so in India, how does it work now? Because we all know that even we have our own whatever electricity we use, we have certain green part mixed into that, right? We cannot consider that individually. Then everybody would, include that individual percentage of green power, and they will calculate the emission accordingly. So just to streamline that, that's why in India, for any such reporting purpose also, from the Central Electricity Authority, whatever number is being published, that is the only number every state has to use. That's the
Understood.
current kind of
Okay.
scenario we have. Yeah. Because
Wonderful.
what will happen otherwise, everybody will calculate based on their individual usage of mixed electricity, right? Because see, example in Karnataka, I may be using kind of electricity from a source where certain percentage of green power would be there. So I cannot just calculate based on that, because even I have to understand in depth what exactly would be the green power percentage into that, until I'm not using the PPA and all. So there the kind of the challenges for individual states to again come out with different kind of emission factors, and that would make of course make it more complex for any country to declare that this is the common emission factor what they have currently, right? So it's for the reporting purpose. To simplify, CEA is the only source what we all can use it for our any emission calculation. Yeah. So I can share the Excel sheet if anybody in the call doesn't have that. Maybe we can use that for our future reference also. Yeah, sure. So anybody else has any question here? You can also put it in the chat box.
One last point. What will be the boundary for this? It is only the embodied energy, or including the transportation up to the port in Europe?
No. So if you see Mr. Singh, actually, he has also shared the entire scope, right? Scope 1, 2, 3, whatever. In 3, again, certain portion only were considered. It's not that entire thing. So I think, Mr. Shridhar, if you can please share that slide once more. So I think people can again refresh that point actually, where we clearly shows what would be the scope. In scope 3, again, we are not going to talk about all the 15 categories. Again, certain categories only.
I just rephrase my question. The boundary for this, it is from the location of manufacturing right up to the port there.
No, I'm just that's what we are going to show you this.
Okay.
I'm sharing my screen. Hope this is visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, understood.
Nothing else.
And of course, even the Mr. Shridhar, if you can go to that scope 1, 2, and 3, that sector, that particular slide also, that would be great. Yeah, here also. See, which is the part of CBAM, which is not a part of it. Like example, okay, you can also explain, Mr. Shridhar, no issue.
Yeah. No problem. So you can go ahead.
So that you can see over here, like, in the gray color area, we are not going to talk about many areas like transportation, distribution, even end of life of the product, what is going to happen, right? So scope 3, we are not going to talk about all the categories. Again, scope 1 would be part of it, partially again, scope 2, what is mentioned over here, and scope 3, only the input material, mainly, which will be part of that, certain area, right? In the complex goods only. So again, it's well defined that these are the emissions only you should consider while calculating the entire value basically, and based on which, of course, you have to of course have a credit, whatever procured or whatever you have to settle it down basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
thanks, it's clear now.
Yeah, this is the scope what we have currently. Yeah, perfect.
Rajappanavar, from your experience, the calculation sheet the EU has released, do you have the complete understanding, or still it's ongoing?
No, it's complete understanding, sir. Like we have supported many European-based customers who are exporting to European.
No, that's
majorly for automotive industries. We have supported.
Right, Mr. Shridhar, in fact, I do have also one more question. In fact, so so you mentioned, of course, phase-wise we are gonna be included in this particular regulation, right? For example, a company like any electrical and electronic companies, right? For example, ABB itself, right? We also produce various products which has certain metals and all, right? So do you feel that, within, this 2034 also, I could see certain products are going to be included, and of course it's a phase-wise manner what they are including the various products and all, right?
Correct.
Do you feel that this kind of product also would be part of it in coming days?
Could be, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Could be. Yes. Electronics products also majorly. See, even when you are talking about majorly for electronics parts, in case if it again comes under the steel, aluminum, now also it has been applicable. Only thing, the exemption is there like 50 tonnage export.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Otherwise, in case if any particular product produced and exported, not a complex again, very complex. So those are not covered. And
so the
CN
definition
code
of
is there.
complex is also mentioned in the definition of CBAM,
Yes,
right?
yes,
It's mentioned
yes,
clearly. Okay.
yes, it is mentioned.
Sure.
And there are some CN codes are there. Only those CN codes are applicable currently. Even though it is a steel part, means as I said, example of turbocharger is made up of aluminum and other steel products. When you see outside this one, then it's going to be considered as a CBAM, but it's not a CBAM code, but because of the CN code. I'll give you some information via email to everyone.
Yeah, that would be great,
What
Mr. Shridhar.
documents?
If you can share some of the links
Sure.
of this particular CBAM related compliance is what we have, right?
Sure,
that
sure,
would be
sure,
great.
sure. I think I have.
So I think
One
we
of
have already
the-
crossed the time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
Mr. Mohan. Yes.
Last point. One of the important goals or targets what EU has is it's called Fit for 55. So they have a target to reduce these emissions by 55% at least by 2030. That is the EU target, and the entire mechanism is developed to realize this target, 55% reduction.
Yeah. By 2030.
Yeah.
That is one of the core pillars.
Perfect. So is there any other question? Maybe I can request all of our attendees also to, you can put your question in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself. So if not so, then maybe I can, of course, I can take this privilege to say thanks to our presenter, Mr. Shridhar. Thank you so much. In fact, it was an excellent presentation overall. Like, we could really see the overall scope, what all things we are actually being, of course, we have to consider while, of course, having this compliance management with respect to CBAM. Of course, the very, very complex, calculation also you showed us. I know it will take some time for all of us to digest even the topic name itself, but of course, the Excel sheet is, of course, very far. Yes, but of course, yes, I really, even for us, like we have been also working on this topic, but this, of course, as you rightly mentioned, the Excel sheet is very complex. We have to have a very detailed knowledge to understand. And of course, we need expert advice, like you all can also support any organization to comply with this requirement.
Sure.
But overall, I must say thanks again for dealing with a very complex topic today. Again, many of the companies or sectors are not having any applicability currently, or it's not applicable to them. But of course, sooner or later, I think we all are going to be considered. And of course, it doesn't matter whether the compliance is there in place or not today. But of course, we have to proactively, in fact, work on certain areas so that we are not only just meeting the compliance, but exceeding the expectation of all the stakeholders, right? That we should also see. It's not just some Europe countries asking, but overall, we can all strengthen our own internal system to, of course, make ourselves more sustainable overall. Yeah. So with that, I must say thanks to you, Mr. Shridhar, and of course to all of you, Mr. Mohan, KSR, Mr. Singh, and all of you. Thanks a lot for joining in today. And of course, as Mr. Shridhar also mentioned, he'll be sharing some of the links, and he's also ready to support us in future. Yes. So thank you so much. Thank you. Any comment from Mr. Mohan and
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Presentation.
Bye-bye.
Okay, then take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just keep the video switched on. Not switched on. Not correct.